Welcome to the BBE Social Media YouTube channel. I'm Blaine Bryant. I'm the Director of Marketing for BBE Social Media, and today I'm going to be talking about my journey into e-commerce using Shopify. So today I'm going to be talking about my journey into e-commerce using Shopify and some of the things that I've learned along the way. I hope you find this video helpful, especially if you're just getting started with e-commerce and Shopify. And if you do, don't forget to like this video and consider subscribing to this channel because I'm going to be doing a lot more videos like this in the future. So let's start at the beginning. I've been doing e-commerce for about 3 years now. I got started way back in 2017. I was looking for an online business to get started, and I met this guy on Facebook who's a friend of mine now, and he was talking about how he had made 6 and 7 figures with his Shopify store. Now, I had never heard of Shopify before this, so I wanted to check it out. And of course, I went ahead and looked into it and found out a whole bunch of things about Shopify and drop shipping in general. Now, I had known about drop shipping before. It was something that I had tried to do 20 years prior without much success. Of course, back then the internet was still new, so creating a drop shipping store 20 years ago is a lot different than it is today. So I started learning all about Shopify, and once I got a good idea about what it was that I wanted to do with my Shopify store, I started trying to put things together. So that brings me to the Shopify setup. Now, getting started with Shopify is generally really easy to do. Once you get yourself an account, you get in there, you start playing around with it, and you can find that there's all kinds of different ways that you can set up your store. So that brings me to the first question that most people who are beginners generally ask. Should I pay for a theme for my store or not pay for a theme? Should I use one of the free themes? Now, me personally, I've never paid for a theme for my store. I can't see myself ever having to do so. I will say this though, that it's kind of a mixed bag of opinions on this subject. But for me personally, I can't see the point of buying a theme unless you're doing something really specialized that you need a whole bunch of graphics and stuff like that. But for most stores, if you're doing a general store, one of the free themes is really all you need. So I got started with that. I have a free theme on my store even now. And what I did was I was trying to get the store set up, and I was learning all about drop shipping and trying to find products to put in the store and picking a direction that I wanted to go and things like that. Now, at the time, I was working full-time job, 6 days a week. I had next to no time to myself, but I was making really good money. So for me, I was able to hire someone to set up the store and make it look really good, and I paid some money to get someone to create some really nice logos for the store, things like that. Now, those are things that I would recommend doing if you have the means to do so. Make the store look really, really good. Now, you can do this with a free theme, of course. It's having someone set it up to make it look really good, and then obviously going in afterwards and finding out how it's all put together and learning to work with it the way that it's set up. That was a big thing for me. It saved me a lot of time, and at the time I didn't have much time to put into it. So I think I paid like $500 or something like that to get someone to set up the store the way it is now. And of course, I've tweaked it and made changes to it over the years, made it a little bit better, but I've still stuck with that basic theme and a professionally designed logo, which didn't cost me all that much money. I think for all the logos that I've put together for my store in total over the years has only cost me maybe $40, something like that. So Fiverr is a really good place to go and you can find animated logos, you can get professional logo makers, all kinds of things like that. So that's a resource that you might want to check out. Now, as far as getting the store set up, I hired someone who was a friend of a friend who was a Shopify expert. And of course, Shopify has their own experts and things that you can hire to help you get your store set up. Now, if you've got the money to do that, I would recommend it. It saves a lot of time like it did with me. And then you can get your store up and running. It looks good, it works right. And then all you have to do is make sure that your payment methods are in there, and that you're loading the products properly, and that it looks really good. So it's a really, really easy platform to work with and to get started with. And it doesn't cost a lot of money every month. I think even now, 3 years later, I'm only paying maybe $35, $40 a month for my Shopify store. I don't have a lot of gimmicky stuff in there, but I'll get to that in a minute. So one of the more important things about setting up your store is authenticity. Now, what I mean by that is you want to make sure that your store looks like, it doesn't look like, let me say, one of those fly-by-night stores. Now, people have gotten wise to that over the years. If they come into your store and there's a bunch of pop-up ads and there's timers everywhere and a bunch of gimmicky stuff that makes it look like, this site's probably going to be gone tomorrow, they're a lot less likely to buy from you. So I learned that lesson the hard way too. I had timers in there and trying to, fake scarcity and all this other stuff, and it doesn't really work. Nobody's looking for that. I mean, if you've got a specific sale and you're only running a sale for a specific time, then yes, okay, that's different. But if they go into your store and every time they go into the store they see that there's a timer there and it resets every couple of days, they're not gonna fall for it. So as far as keeping the store authentic, you want to make it look like it's one of those stores that's been around for a long time and is still going to be here 6 months to a year down the road. So making sure your store is set up to look professional as possible, that's very important. Now, as far as picking products to sell, there's a lot of information out there. I know Shopify has information on their website. There's a lot of free resources out there that you can find where you can learn all about how to do proper product research. Take some time on Google, look for it. I know a lot of people out there are selling courses on how to do Shopify and e-commerce and dropshipping, and quite honestly, yes, I paid for a bunch of courses too early on, and I spent probably upwards of around $10,000 in courses and things over the years just to find out that a lot of the information that was in those courses I could find free online. So as far as picking a product to sell, now there's a number of different things that you want to consider. When you're looking for a product to sell, whether you're using AliExpress or some other supplier for your products, I'll tell you a couple of things that I've learned over the years. Number one, you want to pick a product that's going to get a lot of interest on social media. So something that people are, when they're scrolling through their news feed, it's going to come up and it's going to catch their interest. It's going to hit that pattern interrupt so that they're like, oh, what's this? And they want to take more of a look at it. Now, there's a lot more to your Facebook ads and putting stuff up on social media, and I'll get to that in a moment. But as far as finding a product, you want something, first of all, that's interesting, something that people are going to want. And a good indication of that is that, for me, if I find a product, I really like it, my wife really likes it, my daughter really likes it, I go to my friends and family and they really like it, that's usually a pretty good indication that, if all these people would buy this product, that's a pretty good indication that you could probably sell it on your store and make money with it. Now, once you've found a product that you want to put into your store, there's a couple of things that you want to consider. First of all, like I said, you want to have a product that's interesting. Second, you want to be able to buy it for a decent price, so wholesale. And then third, you want to be able to sell that product for a profit. So you want to have a profit margin that's large enough that you can run Facebook ads for that product and still break even. So just as an example, if I find a product that I can get for $10 and the shipping for that product, the drop shipping is another $5, let's say, I know that that product is going to cost me $15 every time I purchase one and drop ship it to my customer. Now, I want to have enough of a profit margin so that when I run ads to that store, my break-even point is large enough that I can test that product for at least a few days. So going back to my original example, if I know this product is going to cost me $15, let's say, and I want to run ads for it for say 3 or 4 days, I know that my ad budget is going to be roughly $50. So let's make it easy. So $15 plus $50 is $65. So if I can sell the product for $70, $75, then I know that my break-even point is large enough that even if I run ads for the entire, and I spend the entire $50, then if it doesn't sell after that, or I don't get any sales at all, then I know, okay, this product is not the one that's going to work, and go on to the next one. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is loading products into your store using Oberlo. Now, this is a typical app that most people use for loading products into their Shopify store. It's really easy to use. I've been using it for the entire time that I've had my store, and it's really, really simple. I've gotten into a process where I'm loading products in, I'm editing the products and everything in Oberlo before I load it into the Shopify store. So what I do is when I'm finding a product online, let's say I find something on AliExpress, the easiest way to do it is to copy the URL from AliExpress and then load it into Oberlo using the URL. Now this puts it into your import list, makes it very, very simple. And then once it's in your import list, you can edit the name of the product, the description of the product, all of the variants that you want to use and the pricing, and then of course pick which images that come with the product that you want to use on your store. Now I will get in a little bit more about each one of those things in just a moment. Now when you first put the product in, it's going to have this big long description, probably a whole bunch of different keywords and things like that. So what you want to do, and what I usually do, and I learned this just a few years ago, you don't want to use that same description, and here's why. A lot of the times that same description, if you keep that whole thing, or even if you shorten it to just a few words, but it's still pretty much the same, a lot of times people are going to take that, plug it into Google, and they're going to see, oh, there's about 50,000 other stores that are selling this exact same product, and hey, look, this one's cheaper. So what I've gotten into the habit of doing is I will take a product and put it into the store, and then I will come up with my own name for the product, some kind of catchy sort of brand name sounding thing to call this product, so that when people search for it, more often than not, mine is going to be the only one that pops up in Google. So this is a little trick that I learned years ago, and it works really, really well. The next thing you want to do is put together your description for the product. Now, when you pull the product into Oberlo, a lot of the times it'll pull the description from AliExpress or wherever you got the product from and drop it in there. Most of the time you don't want to keep any of it. In fact, I never keep any of it. I just take it all out completely. I write my own description, and this is where copywriting sort of comes into play. You want to be able to write a description that, first of all, gathers, that gains more interest, gives them an idea of what this product is good for, how it's going to make their life better, or however you want to put it. And then of course put together a couple of features and benefits of the product. And then of course if you've got any sales going on or anything like that, it's, buy one, get the second one for 50% off. You want to put that in the description as well. Coupon codes, anything. So you want to write a really good description for the product. If you just dump it in there and you don't change anything, they're going to know, okay, you just got it from over here, and it's, if I look around, I'll probably be able to find this for a lot less. So that's part of the game of dropshipping. Sometimes you got to get really creative with your product titles, your product descriptions, and so forth. Now, the next thing I like to do, obviously, is then go into the variants. This is still in Oberlo, by the way. Before I've even loaded this product into the store, I'm doing all of my editing in Oberlo in the import list so that I can get it all put together, so that when I put it into my store, most of the time, it's 100% ready to go. When you go into the variants, obviously, if you're picking a product that ships from different locations. For instance, if it ships from China, but it also ships from the United States or the United Kingdom, you can go down through the list and you can pick which variants you want to use. Now, typically, especially lately, I'm only picking variants that ship from the United States. Now, it can be a little more expensive, but the shipping time is typically a lot less than shipping something from China. Now, this might take, like I said, when you're doing your product research, this might take you a little longer to find products that ship from the United States, but honestly, it's a lot more worth it because like, the main thing being is that the shipping time is a lot less. Now, when you're doing your variants, you can go in there, and this is where you want to put together your pricing. Now, you can click at the top where it says change all prices, plug in the price that you want to sell it at, make sure you've got a really good profit margin so that you can run ads to it before you hit your break-even point. Change all the prices. Now, you can put compare at price if you want to. Usually I put it at double whatever the sale price is going to be. That gives it the idea, gives the impression that, the product is already at 50% off. And then, of course, if you're running any promotions and things like that, it just makes it sweeten the deal a little bit more. Lastly, before you load your product into Shopify, you want to check and see which images are already attached to it. Now, personally, I like to make sure that the images don't have any other watermarks. They don't have any the white background. I hate it. I don't like putting in pictures that have just a white background. It looks really cheesy and cheap. So if they've got some really good high quality images for the product, you want to use those. Now, a little thing that I like to do is when I'm choosing the images, I want to make sure, like I said, that they're high quality images, no other watermarks or things like that in them. You want to keep the images, of course, that go with the variants that you're using. So if you've got a white one, a black one, and a blue one, you want to make sure to load the images in of the white one, the black one, and the blue one as well. But of course, if they've got other images that are much better, you can load those in. You can change the images in Shopify once it's loaded into the store. So once you've done editing everything in Oberlo, the next step is to upload it into your Shopify store. Now, what I do is once everything is edited, I've chosen my product name, I've got my description written, I've got all the variants picked out and priced properly, and then I've picked out which images that I want to use. Then I will import it into my Shopify store. But it doesn't end there. The next step, once it's uploaded, it'll come up, it'll say edit in Shopify. I always click on that, go into Shopify, because you want to make sure, number one, that your variants are in the correct order. If there's different sizes, you want to make sure those are in the correct order. So you can do all those things in Shopify once the product is loaded in. And then lastly, the first thing I check out is to make sure that the product is available on all of my sales channels. So Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever you're using. So that's getting all of your products, into the Shopify store. Now, if you've got your store set up correctly, it looks really good, it doesn't look like a cheesy store, and you've got your products loaded in there correctly, everything's looking good, you're ready to go. The next step obviously is running traffic to your store. And for most people, that means Facebook ads. And me, myself, I've been doing Facebook ads for the past 3 years. Now, I will admit, me, myself, at first, when I first started out, I was trying to learn Facebook ads and figure it all out on my own. And I read several books on the topic. Like I said, I paid a bunch of money for courses on the topic. And guess what? I'm still not that great at it. But fortunately, I do have people now on my team that are a heck of a lot better at it than I am. So they're the ones that are doing the ads. Now, as far as running ads is concerned, there's one very important thing that you need to understand. And this is a typical mistake that a lot of newbies make when they're running ads for their Shopify store. You don't want to put a bunch of stuff on your ad that make it look really gimmicky and ridiculous, quite frankly. There's a couple of little pointers. First of all, you want to make sure that your Facebook ad is written in a way that, first of all, garners interest. So this again is where copywriting comes into play. And there's things out there you can find on how to write really effective Facebook ads. There's a 3-step process. You want to tell them a little bit about the product, what it's going to do for them, and if you've got a sale going on or anything like that, you want to include that in there as well. So that gets their attention. Now, the things you don't want to do, number one, and I see this mistake all the time, is dressing up the ad copy with a bunch of emojis and things and stuff in there, all caps and a bunch of other things to try and grab people's attention. This is one of the mistakes that I was talking about earlier, where it makes your store look like it's one of those fly-by-night operations. Most people aren't going to want to have to deal with it, or they're not going to trust that your store is going to be there tomorrow. So they don't want to buy from it. It'll drop your conversion rate. It'll drop your click-through rate, first of all. The other thing that I've noticed a lot, and I was told not to do this myself by some other friends of mine, is using bit.ly links or link shorteners in your Facebook ads. Now, I was told, and I was actually told this by someone from Facebook themselves when I was working with them on some Facebook ads. I was told if you use a link shortener or bit.ly or anything like that in your ad copy, it can actually reduce your effectiveness of your ads, because those link shorteners, Facebook knows that once it's on there, you can go in and later on change the direction of where that link goes. So they've already approved your ad, but you could go in and change that bit.ly link. So they devalue your ads based on that. So if you're going to set it up properly, you want to set it up with the actual link to the product in your Shopify store. Don't worry about it being, this long string or anything like that. Most people aren't really going to pay attention to it. If they want the product, they're going to click on it. If you've got your Facebook shop set up already, there'll just be a little shop now button, and then you can put the link in there. You want to keep it clean, you want to keep it professional, so that when people look at it, they don't get the impression that it's just some fly-by-night operation that's here today, gone tomorrow. Now, one other thing that I wanted to mention about Facebook ads, and this is something that a friend of mine also told me years ago that I've been doing to this day, and it works really well. And this has to do with continuity. Now, what I mean by that is, when you're running Facebook ads to your store, first of all, you're going to have your store logo and everything on the ad anyway. But what about the images? Now, there's a number of little watermarking programs out there. There's one that I use in particular that I put the watermark, which is the logo for the store, on the image that's going in the ad. Now, it's not enough just to have the name of the store on the ad and everything with the little tiny logo that Facebook puts on there. But if I've got the store logo in the picture that's in the ad, when they click through to it and it brings up the store, well, there's the logo again, here's the product, it's even bigger. It's having that continuity between the product to the store all the way through to the purchase. Continuity can be important. It can help with your conversions because, again, it looks very professional. And of course, you don't want to make the logo too big. I got into that for a while there. I was making my store logo too big on the images, and somebody's like, hey, you need to tone this down a little bit. So I did, but I still want to keep it on there because it makes it look like this is a product that this store sells and this store only. So again, that goes back to what I was saying earlier, where you're coming up with your own product name, description, and everything else as much as possible to make it look like they can only get this product from your store. Now, the more work you put into that, obviously, the better it's going to work for you. So I know I've thrown a lot at you. There's a lot of little tips in this video. These are a lot of the things that I've learned over the last 3 years doing my own Shopify store and doing my own e-commerce business. I hope this helps you. If you like this video, definitely give it a like. Consider subscribing, because I am going to be doing a lot more of these videos in the future. Now, of course, if you need help with your Shopify store, if you want to get help running Facebook ads to your Shopify store, my company, BB Social Media, we are able to help with this. So if you want to drop me a line anytime, you can go to our website, you can send me an email, and then we can help you out from there. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.